Hello everybody and welcome back to April's Messy Kitchen. I just wanted to clear the air about something. It's been on my mind and I wanted to talk about it. So as you guys know, I make recipes from vintage recipes. Here lately, I've been doing a Lunch Lady series. Now where I get those recipes, I go out to Internet Archives and I look up school recipes, and the ones that I've been doing are from 1955. There are recipe books out there put out by the USDA, and these are recipes that were used in schools in 1955 and in the 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s. There's a whole nother book for the 80s and 90s. And I also found some from 1936 actually, and 1932. And when I was looking at the recipes from 1932, I'll put some screenshots up here. My first instinct was to go, oh my gosh, that sounds disgusting. And I was talking with my aunt about it, and she said, April, you have to remember that this was during the Depression, and this was likely the only good food that these children had to eat all day. But when I looked at some of the stuff like liver, I think there's one called liver or liver and spaghetti. I don't like liver, as you all know. I made a video about liver and onions and I still hate it to this day. But she's right, and they were probably very thankful to get that food. And these were drawn up by USDA guidelines so that the children would get the nutrition that they needed for the day. And so I am going to make a few of those. One of them is called a Prune Brown Betty. Now that's what I want to talk about. Somebody mentioned to me locally here when I said I'm going to make a Prune Brown Betty, they said, that's not PC. I'm like, how is that not politically correct? You can't say Brown Betty. I certainly can say Brown Betty. It has nothing to, and they thought it had something to do with a skin color. Are we that politically charged in this country that we have to tiptoe around colors? I will bring up also one time and only time, because I got crucified for this years ago in comments on my personal Facebook page where I had gone to the movies. I was getting ready to go to the movies, and my thing is I always go to Walgreens or CVS Pharmacy and I buy the candy and I put it in my purse so I don't have to pay that exorbitant price for candy at the movie theater. And we absolutely love Dots. To this day, I love Dots. But Dots is owned by Tootsie Roll now. And back in the day, they also made a product named Black Crows. It was the same as a Dot, except they were black. They weren't colorful, they were black. And the name of it was Black Crows. Well, I went into CVS or Walgreens or whatever it was to pick up a box of Black Crows, and I noticed that they had taken the word black off of it and it was just crows. So I put that on Facebook. I'm like, when did they take off and why did they take off the word black from Black Crows? In a comment, well, that's just not PC. I don't understand why the color of a bird is not politically correct. I don't understand. I mean, I still call a cardinal a red bird. Is that not allowed? I still call a raven or a crow a blackbird. There's actually a bird in Ohio that we grew up with because we lived in Ohio, and it's a red-winged blackbird. That's the name of the species, red-winged blackbird. And what else would they call that? Red-winged dark bird? I don't know. But it's just so odd that they took the word black off of the Black Crows, because crows are black. So in that same vein, somebody said to me the other day, you can't use the word Brown Betty. I certainly can. There are many recipes that are Brown Betty recipes. The term Brown Betty came from like the 1700s into the 1800s, just like Johnny cake. Is that offensive? No, it's probably the brown part came from, like, it's a cobbler or a buckle. I made a blueberry buckle and it was brown around the edges because you use brown sugar and things like that. It's nothing politically charged at all, or I grow weary of people that try to attribute political correctness to something that has nothing to do with that at all. Like a blackbird or a red bird or a red-winged blackbird or a black crow or a brown Betty. So I'm going to make this. It's from the 1936 USDA school lunch menus and breakfast menus. This one happens to be for nursery kids, and it's called a Prune Whip or a Prune Brown Betty. So when you see it, and if you choose to be offended by that, that's on you. I'm just here to tell you there's no offense attributed to any of that. It's the name of a culinary dish, a Brown Betty. There's also shoe fly pie, which I've already made, and apple pan dowdy, and I'm going to be making that one soon. In fact, my dad used to say, shoe fly pie and apple pan dowdy makes your eyes light up and your tummy say howdy. So, and I've made plenty of Johnny cake, which is just like hoe cake. It's cornmeal, it's cornbread. It's just the old way of cooking, and that's the old vernacular. There's nothing racially charged with it, and I just wanted to clear the air on that, number one. You thought you were done, didn't you? You know I can talk. Well, here's the second thing. I look at other content creators' recipes for inspiration to cook things for church potlucks and for my dad, my Aunt Norma. So I go out and I watch other content creators, and I revere them. I have great respect for them because they look so polished. In fact, I compare myself to other content creators, and sometimes, a lot of times, let's just be honest. I very often feel like I don't measure up to those other content creators. I just started this August 1st of last year, y'all. I'm the new kid on the block. I haven't been here a long time. And I don't know that my content is the best ever was, and I'm not saying it is, but I will let you know that I try very, very hard to make sure that I vet any recipe that I get from any other content creator before I make it for myself or for my husband or for the missionaries or for a church potluck or for anybody else. I first make it myself and determine whether it's the real deal. I watched this content creator make this recipe. I made that recipe to the letter, to the exact way that she made it, and it was something that had an icing on top. The icing that she made looked wonderful. It was beautiful. It sat up just correct. And it's not the kind of icing where you have to cook it like you have to cook fudge and it has to crystallize. It wasn't anything like that. I am here to tell you the icing that she gave as the recipe, and she followed the recipe on her video, was nothing. It didn't come out anything like she said it should. And I kind of lost confidence in that. And it got me to thinking, I don't want anybody to ever try one of my recipes and come back and say, wow, this didn't turn out anything like what it showed. So this is why the other day when I made that 1940s banana bread, I was completely honest, and I showed you exactly what it looked like with that one vein of salt through it. In fact, I threw away that loaf because it didn't turn out right. And I didn't hesitate 1 minute to come on at the end of that video to tell you what had happened. And that if you don't want that to happen to you, make sure that you mix up your dry ingredients first and then put them in with the wet ingredients. If anything ever does not go right in the recipe, I will tell you it didn't go right. You can trust the content that I give to you in that I would never steer you wrong, and I would never ever show you a finished product all nice and pretty if it wasn't all nice and pretty. I don't make things pretty just for the camera. What you see with me is what you get. Now in the computer world, they call that WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. Yes, I am a computer nerd. By day, I am a computer IT business analyst. And on my lunch breaks and in the early mornings and in the nights, I cook. So I just thank you for your support. There's a third thing I want to say. This is the third thing. Yesterday, I got a notification from YouTube saying that I have 15,000 subscribers on YouTube. Oh my goodness, I was just like, what? Flabbergasted. And I have been invited to participate in, I think it's called the Brand Partnership for Branding or something like that, to where maybe brands will reach out to me wanting me to highlight or spotlight some of their products. I don't know how it works. I guess I'm gonna figure it out. Also, I've noticed in some of my YouTube is automatically tagging some of the products that I use. Apparently, I hold it up to the camera for y'all, and I noticed a week later, this has been automatically tagged. I'm like, what? Did I sign up for that? So if you see tagged things in my videos, I'm not the one doing it, YouTube is. You can tell I don't know a lot about the back end of things yet. I'm still trying to figure it all out. So thank you so much for your listening this far. I know that this is a super long video. Thank you so much for your tremendous support, and we'll see where this path goes. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you for being here on this journey with me. It's been a wild ride so far, and I can't wait to see what comes up on my 1-year anniversary, August the 1st. Thanks a lot, and now I'm gonna shut up and get back to cooking. See y'all later.